Hey everyone, my name's Jessie. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing a video that I was tagged to do a couple days ago by Elliot Brooks. I absolutely adore her channel, so thank you so much, Elliot, for tagging me to do this. So if you didn't know, she did a couple videos last week or the week before, What is Time? And her videos were talking about books that really didn't fit her reading taste, but that she loved anyway, and then the opposite, books that she should have loved, but then didn't. So today I'm going to do the first part of those two videos and talk about books that I really shouldn't have loved based on my reading taste. So I don't know why I love these books. I just do. And before we get started, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of you for over 5,000 subscribers. I am shocked that anyone even cares what I have to say, so thank you so much for providing such a positive and awesome community of passionate readers that I was just so missing in my life. I love reading, I love talking about books, and I really didn't have anyone outside of this to do that with in my normal everyday life, so it is so nice to find this community, you guys, and it has been such a wonderful experience. So thank you to each and every one of you subscribers. Thank you for every comment, thank you for every like. I just can't thank you enough. As part of that big thank you 5K celebration, I asked you all what video you wanted to see from me and gave a poll on my community post, and a lot of you wanted to see a Q&A and a reading your recommendations type of challenge. So I am planning on doing both of those. Actually, I'm planning on doing all of these videos, but I do have a call to you all. So if you could leave any questions that you want me to answer in that big Q&A down below in the comments here, that would be great. I'll also be asking for questions on my Instagram, so if you don't follow me, link is down below, and then I'll also be asking for questions on the community post. But if you have any burning questions that you want me to answer during that video, just leave them down below. Without further ado, let's talk about books that I really shouldn't have loved, and I do. The first, Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. This book is historical romance, historical time travel. Really what first attracted me to it was the time travel aspect. All I knew about this series going into it was that it was following a more modern woman who time traveled back in time and fell in love with a Scottish man. Wow, even though that is definitely what this book is about, it is so much more, and I do not read historical romance, let alone much historical fiction at all. So this was so far outside my comfort zone, and it is dense. This whole series is so dense and packed with so much detail. It is not the fastest paced series, and there is a ton of just very gory violence and just a lot of gross torture, and it's just filled to the brim with so many triggers, but my goodness do I love it. And I'll tell you why. Jamie and Claire. That is why I love this series as much as I do. That is what carried me through all 8 of these books. I love the characters that Diana has created in this story. And even if I did have to skim through some of the books in this series, because my goodness, does Diana like to include all the details, I still found myself in love with the overall series because of the characters and their epic love story. It is so good. It's not going to be for everyone by any means. This is such a hard series for me to just blanket recommend to everybody, but my goodness, if you love the TV show, check out the books, because I think the TV show does a really good job of staying pretty darn close to the source material. And if you like historical romance or time travel or epic love stories or just being in the weeds with characters, survival stories, and learning what it might have been like to live in the 1700s, then check out this series. If none of that sounds like it's for you, I don't recommend this to you whatsoever. The next book is The Martian by Andy Weir. I was not a science fiction reader when I picked this up. I had heard about the movie with Matt Damon, saw this for very cheap at a bookstore, picked it up on a whim, and was expecting to not love it. I was expecting a pretty dry read with just a lot of science and Granted, it does have a lot of science in it, but my God, it is the farthest thing from dry. It is so much fun. Mark Watney as a character, our main character in The Martian, he is wonderful. He's so funny, so witty. He's brilliant. Just the writing style, it grips you from page one and it doesn't let you go until the very end. This is one of my all-time favorite books, and it was the last thing that I thought I would love as much as I did. So The Martian, even though you are filled with science, my God, I love you. The next book I have is an Enchantment of Ravens. This is a YA fantasy with insta love to the max, and I loved it. I don't know what it was about this book that just totally won me over. I gotta say, I think I can pinpoint it, and I think what I really loved about this story was that it was contained, it's a standalone, it's very short, very easy to get through, and the characters, while they're not spectacular, I think that Margaret Rogerson wrote them to be likable enough where you're rooting for them and you just like their cute little fluffy romance. But what I really loved in this story is, if you don't know anything about An Enchantment of Ravens, it does have fae in it, and the fae in this world, they can't do what humans can do in terms of crafting, so they don't have the ability to write stories or paint pictures or do any sort of creative thing. They actually will die if they try to attempt to do any sort of creative thing. And so they rely on humans to paint their portraits or to write their books that they consume, anything like that. And it just really shed a light on how beautiful it is to be human and to be able to have these wonderful creative outlets that just allow you to express your passion. And it's just so cute and fluffy, and I loved it. I loved the message in this book. I thought it was adorable. This is, again, not for everyone because of the insta love. Like, if insta love is an instant turnoff for you, don't pick this up. It usually is for me, and for some reason this book just totally worked for me. So even if you've heard all the bad things about it, maybe it'll still work for you too. The next book I have is Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinborough. This is an adult thriller, and it is ridiculous, and I loved it. I went into this totally blind, but I had heard that the twist was crazy. So I was expecting a lot from this twist, and my God, I went in with high expectations and it somehow exceeded them. This book is wild. It is not the fastest paced book. I would say it takes some time to build it up, but my goodness, by the end, you will just put this book down and have to think about it for a very long time because it is crazy. I would say that if you don't like thriller twists that are like preposterous and just completely ungettable by the reader, maybe don't pick this up. But if you just love like the craziest plot twists and you are just in it for the ride, oh my goodness, don't try to guess the plot twist. You won't. It is so wild and preposterous, but I freaking loved it. Definitely check out Behind Her Eyes if you want a twist. The next book I have is The Devil in the White City by Erik Larson. This is a historical nonfiction that is following the Chicago World Fair in 1893, and you're following two different perspectives, one from the architect of this World Fair and one from J.J. Holmes, America's first serial killer. This book, I was not expecting to love it, and I'd heard a lot of great things, but nonfiction is not my jam. But the way Erik Larson writes this book, he makes it sound like it's an actual story. He puts these characters into the story in a way where he's not just spouting these facts about the World Fair at you. He's making it into this beautifully constructed story using all these real facts and events that happened and just make you so engrossed in these people's lives. And you can't believe that all of this was historically accurate. It's wonderful. So I loved The Devil in the White City, and I went in thinking this is so not for me, but I'll try it anyway. My husband loved it, so I was like, I'll give it a shot for him. My goodness, was I wrong about it, and I'm so glad I was. And the scenes, especially from J.J. Holmes's perspective, just chef's kiss. So gripping. I loved this. The last book I have on this list is This Tenderland by William Kent Kruger. Again, this is more of a historical fiction. It is following a group of kids on their journey through America Midwest during the Great Depression, and it is slow and beautiful and atmospheric and not something that I would usually like at all, but I ended up really enjoying it. I thought it was beautifully written. It was just filled with all of these quotes that I had to tab up. There is so much impact in this book, and I loved the themes that it explored of a found family and religion and finding your identity, and just so many amazing things are explored in this book, and the characters were so well done. I did a full review of this that I'll link down below if you're interested, but I would highly recommend, if you loved Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens, I think you would really enjoy This Tenderland. This is so not my type of book, but my goodness, I am so glad I ended up picking it up because it was such a pleasant surprise, and I just fell in love with the landscape and the lush writing and the wonderful characters and just everything this book had to say. So can't recommend it enough. It is such a good journey. So those are all of the books that I really shouldn't have loved based on my reading taste, but I did, and I'm so glad that I ended up picking them up. What are some of the books that would be on your list for this? Leave those comments down below. I would love to chat with you guys about this. Thank you again to Elliot for tagging me, and today's Booktuber shoutout is going to go to Brightness Katy Reads. I love Katy's channel so much. If you can't tell from her username, she's a huge Stormlight Archive fan and Sanderson fan in general. So if you are looking for all of the fantasy recommendations, all of the newest recommendations, all of the unique recommendations that you don't hear about a whole lot, check out her channel. She's so close to 1,000 subscribers, you guys. Let's get her there. That would be so awesome because she is the sweetest human being on the planet. So definitely go check out Katy's channel. Can't recommend it enough. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and thank you guys again for 5,000 subscribers. I release new videos every Monday and Thursday, and until next time, bye!